that came from Katie. And she said, a question for Jenny, she said, what's the story behind your name? It's very interesting and memorable. Is it for mums up in the middle of the night?
It's an interesting story. So originally, about 5 years ago, I came up with the name, and I thought it was because I'd be starting my business whilst working full time. So I thought I'm blatantly going to be up like working in the middle of the night to get anything done. Then that all changed last October, November, when I handed my notice in. I was like, oh, I can't even be doing with this. I'm just going to go for it. But then the meaning kind of changed, and it was more because I wanted to appeal to my potential customers. Now, I work quite a lot with international companies, so I'm working with different time zones. So yeah, sometimes I'm on Skype at midnight or 5 a.m. or whatever, because that's what these people need me to do. And also because I do work predominantly within healthcare. Healthcare isn't a 9 to 5 kind of industry. We are, quite often working 24 hours to meet the requirements of our clinicians and stuff. So yeah, it kind of has a multiple thing, but now I do have a 2-year-old and I am up most of the night, so it's still applicable.
Thank you so much for that, Jenny. We've got another question. Sorry, actually, I'm just going to check the chat quickly, because this is from one of our own, Amy Doyle, but I really like the question. And she says to Sarah, how was it setting up with a business partner? What do you see as the benefits of doing that? Does it make the process more complicated? So over to you, Sarah, if that's all right.
Well, it was a long time ago now, Amy. It was 10 years ago, and I would always advocate caution. In the course of our, over the past 10 years, we've seen lots of people form partnerships that have fallen apart maybe after a year or two. Now, the way we did it, we had a random meeting, quite liked each other, and just decided to start a business. Now, I absolutely would not recommend that. It needs to be someone you've got an affinity with. It needs to be someone who you've got similar objectives and goals to. But it's definitely worth, when you start a partnership, for me, if I've got an issue going on, we've all got families, and we've all been thrown into a life situation that we've never expected and could have planned for. If you've got something else going on, I don't know, maybe you're trying to run your business, or you're working from home, the children aren't at school because you've got to be homeschooling because of, if you've got a partner and you can't attend to something at that moment that really needs doing, your business partner can pick up the slack. Plus, we've also got different strengths as well, so we complement each other quite well too. But it's definitely worth exploring in collaborations with other people, whether you think that a partnership would be for you. And I couldn't do it without being in a business partnership, that is for sure. I really couldn't. You really do. It just gives you so much more freedom and so much more backup as well. Plus, it also gives you someone to be accountable to. So if you haven't done something, you've got someone on the other end of the phone saying, where is it? And you're like, oh, okay, I'll get it sorted. So, on all those counts, so accountability, support, backup, and also it can double the fun as well.
Yeah, so I'm co-director of a company with a friend actually, but we didn't set up that way. I've kind of come in afterwards, so I just wondered whether it's kind of been really supportive in the beginning. It seems like it'd be a really nice way to start a business, is actually to go.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not doing on my own, because there is that whole doing it on your own, because I've thought about starting up, but I'm like, oh my god, I'd have to do it all on my own, and there is that. How would I do it? When would I have time?
You don't have to do it all on your own, even if you're just going to be as yourself in your business. There are support groups all over the place. You could find your community where where you can find that support. Although you might be doing it on your own, you're not alone really. There are so many different communities out there that can support you on that journey, including your own, the female entrepreneurs. There are those, so you're never entirely on your own.
It does seem a bit ridiculous that I run a network for women who run their own business, but I'm too nervous to start my own business. There is a certain amount of irony there. Okay, thank you very much. So where my headphones are going a bit flat. Phil.
Sorry, yeah, just a quick point on that. Just a couple of points. I've started a business in the past, and one of the critical things I think if you're going to start with someone else is understanding what the structure of the business is from the outset. Yeah, I can tell you horror stories, but yeah, don't make those mistakes.
Yeah, please no horror stories.
Yeah, I'll save that for another day. But and the other thing I was going to mention, if you are looking for investment and want to get in touch with angel networks, the SITE program has the capability to access colleagues in that sphere through Menzies LLP, the local accountancy firm. So we can arrange a 1 hour free consultancy meeting with the founding partner of Menzies if you'd like to explore investment. So if that's of interest, just let me know.
Thank you, Phil. Okay, we've got a couple of other questions that came in earlier on that we will ask. Can people still hear me? Because I've got a beeping in my ear that tells me my headphone batteries are about to go flat. So I'm going to ask this one, and then I might let Chloe ask the next one. But we had a question that came in for Sally from Jill Jones, which was, I do picture framing, and I'm looking into recycled polystyrene frame moulding. Any idea how I find it if it's truly green? Now, I know that specifically came in to Sally, but I did wonder if anyone from Greentech as well might be able to provide some support there. I'm just going to plug these in a minute.
Yeah, that's definitely something that Sally and the KTM would be able to help with, or we could help with in terms of exploring potentially connecting, was it Jill, with any UOP expertise? And if that was a possibility, I know that's something Sally personally is really passionate about. So if you are interested in polymers, Sally is a great, really highly regarded polymer scientist. So she's obviously a great person to get in touch with post this event, but also get in contact with us, and we can talk to Jill further about exploring that and seeing if there's any kind of grant funding through the Emphasize or low carbon Solent programs that could support that.
Thank you, Chloe. Sorry for my headphone malfunction there. Apologies about that. Can everyone still hear me? I've switched over to a microphone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still here.
I'm just trying to see if there's anything that any of our speakers are still here. So Jenny, yeah. So we've got one here that do you have 3 top tips for maintaining and growing a social media presence? If you had to just narrow it down to maybe the first 3 steps that people should follow when they first start up. Like if you're advising me, if I were going to start up, what would be the first 3 things I should think about?
Okay, so I'd say probably the most important one is to think about the content that you're putting out and how and who you're trying to target with it, because you're not going to please everyone, and not everyone will be interested. So therefore, it's really important to focus in on the people you want to talk to and what you think they are going to want to hear. So again, to help you with that, if the 2 ladies that I said to follow on LinkedIn and Facebook, I've put their things in the chat box, and they talk about like they call them different pillars of content. So they say about using video, using stories. Second point I would say is make sure you get some testimonials that you can use for social proof. I can't remember, one of the other ladies talked about this as well, about getting testimonials, but they're really, really important. If you haven't got any so far, do you know what, especially if you're selling your own services, so if you're a consultant or something like that, go back to people you've worked with and say, I worked with you for a couple of years, can you please give me a recommendation or a testimonial on my LinkedIn page? Anyone who you work with in the future, as soon as you finish the project and it's handed over and it's all done, make sure you say to them, I really need you to do this, and can you then recommend me onto other, your friends or your colleagues or whatever. Don't feel bad being cheeky. People who do really well in business have no issue with sort of self-promotion and stuff like that. Third tip I would say choose one social media channel and stick with it until you feel that you're in a place where you're comfortable enough to then move on to another one. It's really, really difficult to start from day one trying to do Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Insta, whatever else there is. There's so many of them. Just choose the one where you think your audience is going to be there. Focus on getting that done right first and then move on. And that way it won't overwhelm you either. So
thank you, Jenny. Brilliant. I've got one for Sandy, which is, are you still running? You mentioned you've done a great overview of business model canvas. If someone wanted a bit of help with actually getting that done, like someone to bounce ideas off and stuff, are we still able to make appointments with Hive under lockdown? Are you running those? Are they happening virtually, or is it just email?
We're in a bit of a in-betweeny time at the minute because we're now in another lockdown. So sort of like normal meeting up with people has been restricted quite a bit. I mean, by the very nature of the business planning bit, it's nice to actually be in the same place as each other. One day it might happen. But I am very happy if somebody wants to get in touch with me and we can have that initial phone call and make a plan. Definitely, yeah.
Brilliant.
That was a really wishy-washy answer, wasn't it?
So basically, we've got your details. We'll make sure they get circulated. So if people do want to get in touch, give you an email.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Something virtually set up. That's brilliant. Sarah, there was one from you about to Phil. Was it any business that can get access to the Angel, or would it have to be site focused to get in via that?
Yeah, so we have an arrangement with Menzies in order to provide that free 1 hour consultancy meeting with a partner initially. I can try and wangle it though, so I can say you're kind of affiliated to the site program and active in joint activities through the University of Portsmouth. Yeah, I'll make up some fudged wording in order to get you through the door.
I think the thing is that if people. If any of you who've been here today have heard and you're not quite sure whether or not you fit into exactly the right project, do just get in touch, because those of us working on these ERDF projects do talk to each other, as you can tell from the fact that we've collaborated today. And if one of us can't help you, we will try and see if we can help you through one of the other projects as well. And we do have a number of other services at the university, and we will share those details as well. We've got a lot of stuff that the university likes to do. We are signed up as a civic university, and so we do have, someone's already mentioned in the chat, the free accountancy clinics. You can get help with your tax returns, and that's done in collaboration with Sandy at Hive. And there are also a number of ways you can engage with our students to get support with projects for your business, and that's at different levels. So you can get involved with our undergraduates and they can do a project in your company. And we also have some of our master's level students who are available to do consultancy type work as well. And we also, of course, have our rentable office spaces, and then they come with various services to our members as well. So we will put details, things like that, in everything that we circulate. I think we've now done all the questions that had come through for now. I'm going to ask one last time, someone said something about quick comment on social media. So Sarah, if you want to do that, and if anyone's got one last question, but if not, then after Sarah's question, we will say goodbye to you all. Sarah.
Yes, I just wanted to say, just to add to what Jennifer was saying, is just look at where the clients you're trying to reach are hanging out. There's no point in you building up your LinkedIn following if all your customers hang out on Facebook. So just be aware of where the people you're trying to reach, spend their time on social media. Look at the different channels and see where they hang out.
I think that's really wise, because I think people have a tendency to gravitate towards the social media they understand best and use most themselves. I know I cope well with Facebook, and I have no clue about Instagram, but I suspect that it does very much depend on your market. So that's a really helpful tip. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, thank you to those of you who have hung on to the bitter end, where we're now half an hour over time. Massive thank you to all of our speakers, especially our 3 speakers who have managed to stay on for this question session.